Will Labour mean danger for buy-to-let landlords? We've got the Renters Reform Bill going through the committee stages of Parliament, expected to become law in October 2024. But what amendments are an incoming Labour government likely to make to it? And what impact will that have on us as buy-to-let investors? That's all coming up in this video. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell icon, smash the like button as well. We put out videos each and every week, all dedicated to keeping you up to date with what's happening in the property market and the very best property investment strategies to follow. So we've covered the Renters Reform Bill in previous videos and what that's all about, but I think it's very interesting as it goes through the committee stages of Parliament to look at what Labour MPs are raising or tabling as amendments to it, because although they're not getting those amendments through during its current stages, if an incoming Labour government comes in, it just certainly sets a tone as to the direction of travel. And some of it is quite scary, so stay tuned and listen up. First of all, I think a lot of the outlook for what will happen under a Labour government depends on how much of a majority they get. You see, I don't think Keir Starmer is anything like Jeremy Corbyn. He's not one of these left-wing ultra loons. He's more from the Tony Blair centre of the road brand of politics. The problem Keir Starmer has is that he has quite a lot of Corbynista left-wing loons in his party. So here's the problem. If Labour win the election with a relatively small majority, then he will always have to pander to what that Corbynista wing of the party has to say. But if he wins by a thumping landslide like Tony Blair did in 1997, then he won't have to appease that left-wing element and can go more centre of the road. Now hopefully there's a good chance of that happening, because if you've been following politics you'll know that in Scotland the SNP has suffered a massive collapse, and those seats that the SNP will lose are likely to go to Labour, as well as all the red wall seats in the north of England that Boris Johnson won. They are likely to switch sides as well, which will mean that if there is a change of government, it's likely to be by a reasonable majority. I think the worst outcome would be if Labour got in with a thin margin. But anyway, let's have a look at that direction of travel. Tell me what you think. I mean, these are just my opinions. If you think differently, let me know in the comments below. But let's look at some of these amendments that some of these guys are putting in. So these are amendments that Labour MPs are putting in during the reading stage of the Renters Reform Bill. One of the proposals is that as a buy-to-let landlord, if you decide you want to move into the property yourself, you've had a change of circumstance, you want the property back for your own occupation, or you're looking at selling up, then at the moment you have to give 6 months notice to the tenant. The amendment Labour are proposing is that this is increased to 2 years. Now, I think this is absolutely crazy, quite frankly, because circumstances change very, very fast in people's lives. There are all sorts of circumstances where a buy-to-let landlord may need that property for own family occupation. We all know that mortgage rates and interest rates can change pretty fast, and properties can simply become unaffordable. So there are all sorts of circumstances where a buy-to-let landlord may need to sell reasonably quickly, and the 6 months that's currently on the statute books is more than enough time. Now, with the thing about moving a family member in or moving into the property yourself, I think this is just for buy-to-let landlords who own property in their own name. If you own property as a company, then a limited company is not an individual. So a limited company can't move into that property. So that rule won't apply to incorporated landlords. That's worth taking note of. Now, this is a particularly Looney Tunes idea proposed by Labour as an amendment to the Renters Reform Bill, which is that if a landlord wants to sell a property, then they should have to offer first refusal as an option to purchase to the tenant. Now, this seems crazy to me because I don't see why this needs legislation. It already happens that landlords and tenants get together and some tenants decide to buy the property and the like. And in any case, anyone has the right or ability to buy something on the open market. What this will do is just bring about undue delay, because I'm sure there'll be some process by which a landlord looking to sell first of all has to give that option to the tenant. And then you have to wait a certain period of time for them to decide whether or not they want to exercise that option. But in any case, they can buy it on the open market anyway. And this is really not properly thought out, because if the landlord owns a block of 4 flats and a tenant is living in one of them, and the landlord is selling the whole block, the tenant is hardly likely to put in an offer to buy that whole block. Or if it's a mixed-use commercial residential property, often these properties are owned as one freehold, and the landlord may be parting with the interest in the whole building. So it's simply, I'm not sure whether this aspect has been fully thought out. Back in the days of Jeremy Corbyn, he was advocating in his election manifesto that private tenants be given the right to purchase their tenanted properties at a discount, which basically means that the landlord would have to basically sell at a discount, which is obviously ludicrous and communist in every single way. There's no mention of that in this tabling, which is perhaps a good sign, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, if you're liking this video, smash the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when we release updates. Now, this is an interesting one. One of the amendments Labour tried to put up for the Renters Reform Bill is to introduce a hardship test on payment of rent. Now, heaven knows how this would actually work in practice, but every single tenant who is in arrears would basically try to claim hardship and put up a case. This doesn't seem to make sense to me, because you don't have this in any other walk of life. If you are an owner-occupier of a property with a mortgage, if you don't pay your mortgage every month, there is no hardship test. If you don't pay the mortgage, the bank forecloses. It's as simple as that, and they repossess. I don't understand why someone occupying a property as a tenant should have any more rights than a person occupying a property as an owner-occupier with a residential mortgage. Now, as a buy-to-let landlord, you tend to want certainty. Section 21 notices gave that certainty, which basically meant that after 6 months of a tenancy, giving 2 months' notice, the tenancy can come to an end. The problem with all these ifs and buts and if this circumstances and that circumstances and possibilities of hardship tests and the like is that the already overburdened court system will be snarled up with all sorts of spurious claims and arguments arguing the toss either way. And if some of these elements were to come in, I think that many lenders may take a different view on lending to this sector. Because ultimately, if they don't have security over the asset that they're lending on, why should they put up the money for you and I to buy these buy-to-let properties? Now, there's a lot happening in the coming months. Now, fortunately, none of the amendments that I've talked about in this video has actually made it to the bill that's going up in Parliament. But they've all been, all of what I've talked about has been tabled by Labour MPs on the committee during its reading. Now, all I'm saying is that if there is a change in government, then some of these thoughts could be part of the direction of travel that a new government adopts. But what do you think? What do you think is the future for buy-to-let investment in the UK? Let me know in the comments below, and see you guys in the next video. The Baker Street Property Meet is the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking event. The property market is going through monumental change right now, and at Baker Street Property Meet we aim to keep you up to date with the latest tips and tricks and insider tactics to help you keep on top of your property investing game and succeed in these troubled economic times. The Baker Street Property Meet is fundamentally about networking, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And at Baker Street, we aim to connect you with the people to make your property journey a monumental success. There's no better place to be to further your property investment journey than the Baker Street Property Meet. So make sure you're here, you're connecting with myself and Andrew Roberts, our expert guest speakers, and 300 passionate property people each and every month. See you at the next meet. Get your spot at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com.